everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So today I've got a simple new home card for you guys. Shouldn't take too long, but it's a lot of fun with a lot of cool techniques. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so this is a really quick little card that I make when I need to send a friend a new house kind of card. And it's featuring this cute set from Fawn. This is the Happy Village set. I'm going to add in a couple of others along the way as well, but it features this one. And then the other things I use in here is I've got this set of stitched circles. These are from Paper Rose, but any stitched circles will do here. So I'm going to grab the 4th circle. And we're going to cut, that's sort of going to be the main part of our little, the main panel, I guess. This is a really simple card. There's not a lot to it. It's it's not quite one image, but it's nearly one image. And that's basically it. So I'm just pulling in my die cut machine. I'm just going to cut this one out. So I'm cutting this out of Express It blending card. That's basically, I think, the only die cut we're going to use. Oh, we're going to cut another one of these little circles out of some foam to help us out in a minute, but not quite yet. So there we go. We've got the little circle. Let's put that off to the side. And then I want to put on this little house here. And this actually works really well with any of these images. You don't have to just do house ones, or not just single house ones. If you want to do the church one for maybe a wedding card, that works too. So I've just got this the little house one. I'm just using some of my Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm just going to stamp this down as close to in the middle as I can. There we go. If it's off a little bit, that's alright. And then while I've got this out, I just want to do a little mask really quick. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more ink. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect because it's only a mask. And I'm just going to trim this out of my full sticky note. This is just from Officeworks. They're not very expensive, but they're just so good for masks. Just trim that out. The other good thing is these houses are pretty simple, so they're not too complicated to cut out. Alright, so now I've got my little house mask. I'm just going to stick that straight over the top of what I've put on here. And then I'm just going to grab the little fence. And I just want to put a little bit of fence on either side. So the way that a mask will work is it will make whatever you stamp on top will sort of go into the background. So the first thing you put down is always the thing you want in the foreground, and then you stamp the stuff on the back. So I want these little fence bits to kind of sit behind the house. So I'm just lining that up. I'm not worried if it's not 100% perfect. Doing a little bit on either side. There we go. And then when I pull this mask up, you'll be able to see the fence is behind the house. Now that's not 100% perfect. It's a little bit off center. I probably should have done the fence down up a little bit higher, but it's okay. The other cool thing with using a mask, especially if you just did just little bits like I just did, is you can keep it and use it again later. So bonuses. Other thing I'm really quickly going to stamp on here is just a couple of these little birds. Just going to put a couple of them up in the sky. And I'm kind of debating doing a little bit of smoke coming out of the chimney, but I don't know yet. So little birds on the side. I actually think I'm going to leave it. So then we're just going to colour this in. There's not going to be anything fancy to this whatsoever. It's going to be a very simple little thing. So I'm going to start with the actual house itself. So I'm just going to grab some cool grey markers here. I'm just going to try and add some dimension just by sort of adding in some darker shadows around the sides and around the bottom. So I'm just going right on the sides of the houses that are kind of behind, and then a little bit on the bottom, and then just a little bit under the eaves of the house. And then just going in with this one's, that was C5, this is C3. should be a little bit more shadow under there. Under the roof line as well. This is where this is a really good one to mass produce because you're really only colouring in one image. There's not a lot to it. So if you've got a lot of friends that are moving, or you want to do like a lot of wedding cards or something like that, this is a really good way to do it. And then just for the stone, well, it's not really a stone, but for the step, I'm just going to add in C7, which is just a little bit darker, and then blend that out with C5. That'll just give us a little bit of differentiation. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to do a red roof on this one, because I can. And to me, roofs are always red. I know they're not. And I know when we built the house, it was not a red roof, but that's just what I want to do. So this one's R39, which is a really dark red. I'm just putting that just down behind where the shadow of the roof line is. Actually, and just a tinsy little bit on the chimney. And the other cool thing about this one, the thing that makes it fun and easy, is you can do these houses any colour you like. You can have them realistic and have them be greys and browns and things like that, or you can do them really, really fun and have a purple house or a yellow house or whatever colour house you want. And that way every card is individual because you colour them all in different ways. And I know when I was a kid I always did red roof houses. I'm just trying really hard here to stay within the lines. And then just anywhere where I'm not happy with the blend, I'm just coming in and just doing a little bit of a flick. You can always come back and have another shot at it if you don't like it. Alright, front door I'm going to make purple because that's what Ryan suggested. So I've got V04 and V06. So I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow just down one side and then just blend that out. Oops, I went outside the lines. If you do happen to do what I just did, go outside the lines just a little bit. It's not the end of the world. This is not blending nicely. I'm just doing a little bit of tip to tip just to get that blend a little bit nicer. I'm just grabbing that C3, which was that light grey that we're using, just trying to push the purple back. That'll all settle in. As it dries, it'll settle in, so you won't notice that spot, and if you do, I'll just go over the top again. But that makes that easy. And then just to finish it off, just because otherwise if you leave it white, I think it would be fine, but it just looks a little bit like it's lacking something. Just grabbing some green markers to start with. So this is YG03 and YG00. And I'm just sort of drawing in where the grass line would be. You don't have to do grass if you didn't want to. You could just do dirt or stone or whatever you like. Doing the line with the darkest colour. This is YG03. Could obviously go darker if you wanted to. I'm going right to the edge of the circle here. I'm just going to come just down a little bit just in the front, and I'm being messy on purpose because grass isn't tidy. Well, my grass isn't tidy. And then with the really light green, I'm come in and kind of blend these together, but then fill in the rest of it. This is where sometimes the chisel tip can come in really handy because it's really good for filling in a lot. See, I do use the chisel tip. I don't use it very often, but I do use it. So I'm just saturating, is not the right word, but getting it nice and wet, and then just coming back in again and trying to blend those two together. If they don't come naturally together, if you still don't like the shadow, when you grab the tip to tip, just messily blend it out. And like I said, grass isn't perfect, so it's a really good one to play with, this one, because grass is never going to be exactly what you want it to be. Okay, because now you've got the shadow, so I'm kind of imagining that the sun is behind the house, and that's where it's casting the shadows this way a little bit. And then last but not least, to finish it off, of course, we need to have a blue sky. If you don't want to have a blue sky, you don't have to. You can have a grey sky, you could have a light blue sky. have a dark, you can have a nighttime sky if you wanted to. I like a blue sky. I just think they're more fun. And I'm going to do the same sort of thing. We put the dark, which is B24, just sort of around the house, so it's got a little bit of definition. But I'm going to leave down next to the grass. I'm going to leave that for the light blue, so it's just really around the house. You don't have to be perfect here because it's sort of all going to get messy as well. And skies aren't perfect either. This is where it's kind of fun to play with bigger areas of colouring in Copics, because skies and grass don't need to be perfect. So once you've got that one in, we'll bring in the B21. Just start off trying to blend out these. These two are a little bit far away from each other in the colour spectrum, like on the Copic spectrum. So if they don't blend together nicely, I'll just tip to tip it again. Might be okay. Trying to keep the picket fence white if I can. So we do the same thing with the chisel tip, because it's just a little bit easier to cover more space. Okay, I need to just do a little bit of tip to tip because it's a little bit strong. And again, the sky can be a little bit streaky. It doesn't have to be perfectly blended, because the skies aren't perfectly blended. I'm just looking at this and it's just missing something. So what I'm going to do, there's a little car that lives in this set as well. So I'm just going to grab the little car, just stamp that out on a little bit of this blended card. I think I'm going to do a little purple car to kind of match the front door. Whoops, that'll be fine. So I don't have to get any more markers out, I can just use the purple. So just colour this in very quickly. And to finish it off, just use those cool greys again. For the tyres and the bumper, just being very simple with this one. And then for the windows, I need to bring this in for the windows in the house anyway. So this is B00. It's just a great one for glass, and I'm deliberately being messy with it because I feel like it looks more like glass if you do it that way. And then just a teensy little pop of yellow for the light on the car, even though it's probably daytime. So I'm just going to cut this one out using the matching die. While I'm at it, I'm also going to cut out another circle out of some foam. So I'll show you in a sec which one that is. Cut that out, and then I'm going to grab the next circle down. So it'll be one size smaller than the one we've got. And we'll cut that out of my foam. I'm just going to cut that so it goes through a bit easier. You may have to run this through once or twice. It's generally not too bad. It'll cut through without too much of a problem. So that went through twice. So once forwards and once backwards, and that's cut fine. So you don't need to do too many times. It doesn't have to be a perfect cut either. It moved just a little bit. It's going to be hidden underneath the circle anyway. All right, let's get to assembling this little card. I just want to grab my white gel pen just to add a couple of little details to the house and to the car. So I'm just going to grab a couple of different kinds of glue here. I need some normal foam tape, this one, and then just some normal double-sided tape. I'm going to use two different ones for a very specific reason, and you'll see that in just a sec. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the foam tape. So the reason we use the fun foam instead of using foam tape is obviously it's a little bit less. You don't have to cut copious amounts of little squares of foam or strips of foam, which I just find a little bit easier, and it feels more solid. There's no gaps in the middle. So I'm going to put the little car just down here, and now that finishes the scene off. It means that there's there's a little bit more pulling the purple together, and because we put the birds on the right hand side, the card just slightly on the left, kind of balances it out. Then we're going to grab that little circle and just the standard double-sided tape, just add some strips on here. So I have found that when I use glue runner, so my normal glue tape, this doesn't work. It doesn't stick to the foam and just comes off. And I found the same thing with liquid glue. They just don't stick as nicely as I'd like them to. Whereas double-sided tape just sticks. It's perfect for this. You can get foam that already has double-sided tape attached to it. I just find that this is a bit cheaper, but either one works. If I'm doing a really complicated thing, I'll do like if it's a really intricate little die, I'll do the double-sided adhesive foam, but for now this works really well. And then we're going to stick some more on the other side, but I'm just not going to remove the backing yet. The other good thing is this stuff is really easy to tear with your fingers. So you don't have to get scissors or anything out, you can just tear it. Alright, so there's the main panel for the card. That's seriously the only thing that's going on the front of the card other than the sentiment. So I've just got a pre-cut bit of cardstock. This is just a standard size cardstock, I think. I'll measure it for you in just a sec. And I'm just folding it in half. I'm just grabbing my score tool just to give it that nice crisp edge. There we go. So this one is 10.5 by 14.8. I'm going to stick that in the middle, just like that. And then I'm going to use a sentiment out of Happy Wedding. I just want the congratulations that's in here. It's a really good, cute congratulations, and I just think it looks really pretty. So I'm just going to stick that down onto a acrylic block. You can of course use a Misty or any other kind of, actually I'm going to use the Misty because I want this to be straight. You could also stamp this in colour if you didn't want to stamp it in black and white. See, there you go. You can see I've been making these all over the place because I've got one of my old masks sitting there. Okay, so I'll line this up in the Misty and I'll work out where I want everything to sit. So I'll sit there. We've got the congratulations. And then I like to add, there's another sentiment in here that says on your new home. There is a congrats in here. I just don't like it as much. I just think it doesn't give you as much as this one does. This congratulations just looks really cool. So I'm just lining that up, making sure it's where I want it to be. 10.5, 5 and a little bit. Yep, that's about right. And then we'll just pick those up. I can then use the grid lines on my Misty just to make sure that it's 100% straight, which that is. And then just ink that up. The good thing is here, if we do a miss stamp, if something's not quite right, it's really, really easy to just stamp it again. So I'm just moving this into the corner so it holds the card shut. Nice little stamp. Check it, see if it's right. You can always double stamp it if you want it to be a little bit darker. I think that's fine. And then all we have to do is remove the tape on the back of our little panel and she'll be finished. Now you could decorate the back if you wanted to, like the actual card. Like I said, this is designed to be a little bit simpler. It's designed to be a bit quicker. I'm sure I've still gone for a long time, but a little bit simpler of a card, something that can be mass produced. You could do different shapes if you wanted to. You don't have to do circles. You could do squares or little triangles, not triangles, hexagons or something similar. Oh, come on. This is the only downside to double-sided tape. I can never get the backing off. So I'm just going to line that up again in the right spot. Go. And there you have a little congratulations on your new home card. Really, really simple, really easy to put together, a good chance to play with your Copics. Gives you a bit more of a full palette. You don't often get to colour the whole thing in. I'm just noticing I don't like the way that's looking. I'm just going back in. This is the lighter of the two blues. I'm just being really careful now because I don't want to get onto the actual card. So I'm just swiping that gently. Just trying to blend it out a little bit. This is the thing I love about Copics. If you see something 10 hours later, you can come back. This hasn't been 10 hours later, just by the way, but if you see something later and you go, yeah, I don't like the way that looks, you can come back in and add a little bit more and blend it out. That's better. Like I said, very simple card, lets you play with your Copics, lets you kind of add in something that you don't usually use. A really good chance to use some different colours if you sort of don't want to do the standard kind of colours here. This would look really cute as like random colour houses, like a pink house or a purple house or something like that. But really, really simple, really easy, and a lot of fun. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Please give it a big old thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to be subscribed to my channel. Don't forget to be following me on all of my social medias as well, because I do post cards that don't get videos up there. So if you're interested in the card making side of this, that's where I tend to post all the ones that don't get their own videos. So make sure you follow me there as well. They're all down below for you. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, whatever you get up to, and I'll catch you in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!